transcribed interviews from Afghanistan, that those have begun to be delivered. And what is being redacted from them is what the minority requested to be redacted from them. That's part of what's taking the time. So some of them have been delivered already, and they are working to be delivered.
Meaning delivered to the minority staff
Delivered
for
to the
review,
minority staff,
but not
that's correct.
yet released, yes.
So, yes. To say that again in the affirmative, they are being delivered to the minority staff. Some have been delivered already. I'm now going to recognize myself for 5 minutes. And I want to start by going to what I spoke about in length in my opening comments, $500,000 grant to Nepal regarding the expansion of atheism. And I would just start with this question from senior State Department personnel. Do you believe that that is an appropriate use of $500,000 of We the People to expand atheism in Nepal?
Mr. Chairman, I've actually looked at this. I've looked at the grant. I've looked at the materials. That's not what the grant is for, and that's not what the work would be for. And frankly, we would never authorize such a grant to any organization to promote any kind of religion. As the ranking member discussed, this was actually to fulfill a requirement that this committee put forward to defend people who are being persecuted for their beliefs. Governments across the world, as you know, are cracking down, can torture people, lock people up for their religious beliefs.
So you're saying today that no $500,000 grant for atheism in Nepal or divided up in other areas?
I have seen no evidence of any grant to promote atheism in Nepal.
Are you familiar with those that you sent to our committee to answer questions about this grant?
I am.
Okay, and are you familiar with that they answered 140 times over that they just didn't know? They weren't the decision makers on this. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think you have to, I'll tell you what I've done. I've looked at the materials that this grantee in Nepal has used. It was about supporting civil society in Nepal so that they could defend themselves if they were persecuted for believing a particular religion? Or frankly, non-religion. It wasn't religion specific. It was frankly agnostic. It was giving people the right to be safe from persecution, which is exactly the intent of the law.
Let's go back to the original question. Again, as senior State Department personnel, would it be appropriate for the State Department to authorize $500,000 grant of the monies of We the People of the United States of America to promote atheism?
It would not be appropriate to have a grant to promote any religion or non-religion coming from the United States. That's not what the International Religious Freedom Office does. It's not what our Office of Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor does.
Very good. So, Mr. Rocklew, would you like to respond to that as well? Would it be appropriate to give a $500,000 grant to promote atheism in Nepal?
No, it would not be, and I concur with the deputy's statements. Could I add a data point to that? You mentioned that the individuals who came up from our Religious Freedom Office were continually saying, I don't know, on a number of issues. These are, I believe, the same individuals that are being requested for transcribed interviews. To be clear, we are actually offering up the individual who would know, the senior officials. So just to be clear from earlier statements, we would like to provide the senior official who actually is in charge of this issue to
We would love for you to provide that, but let's not just talk about senior officials. Do you have a problem with providing individuals that are not senior officials?
It does send a chilling effect, Mr. Chairman, whenever you have grant administrators.
Be more specific, chilling effect.
So, for example, if I am a relatively junior or mid-level person and I award grants from the Department of State, and I am at risk of being called before a committee or testifying or transcribed interviews, and that's why State Departments over respective administrations have had a cutoff of Deputy Assistant Secretary or Senior Executive Service to come up and appear before you. We are simply carrying on that tradition. I think it's an important one to protect the workforce, frankly, to protect the morale.
The workforce works for We the People of the United States of America.
Right.
And I would say absolutely there should be a chilling effect for anybody that writes a grant to spend any dollars of we the people of the United States of America, whether to promote atheism in Nepal or whether to do a drag show in Ecuador or promote prostitution in Colombia or whatever it might be, there should absolutely be a chilling effect for any person at any level that goes out there and conducts their work in such a manner.
Mr. Chairman, I think we have a disagreement about the facts. And I don't, because I don't, from what I have seen and what I have reviewed and the transcripts I have reviewed and the grant materials of the organization in Nepal, and I've spent a lot of time in and around Nepal and South Asia, and I know what risk people face. And I think this was exactly the right kind of program to support civil society and protect them from persecution.
Back to the point of this hearing, clearly you disagree with this, but I would say certainly you had plenty of time to prepare for that, given that over the course of 2 years and 10 specific requests for information before your department finally responded with anything, it took you quite a long time to come up with the story that you're presenting to me right now. And the other thing that I would say about that is, as there's a complaint about needing more resources, needing more staff, needing more personnel. Well, imagine if you cut down your workload by 10, by a multiple of 10, how much more manageable it would be if we didn't have to ask you 10 times for everything that we want, whether it's correspondence about a dissent cable to which you all gave out public awards to people that were a part of the dissent cable, or whether it's for information about a drag shows in Ecuador or grants in Nepal or anything else, you could cut that down by 10x if you responded with quality on the first time.
Mr.
And
Chairman,
now I will recognize Ms. Van Dyne
I will
for
say
her
we,
time.
we spent 50,000.
You're not recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. I ask for unanimous consent to enter into the record